How's it going, everybody? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson, and today I've got 3 fun and easy riffs for you from George Thorogood and the Destroyers. Right now Guitar Control is giving away this really cool chord chart. It's a free download. Every chord that you could ever need, all neatly compiled into one sheet, and it's in PDF format, so you can download it, print it off, throw it in your gig bag, throw it where you practice, just so you can just have any chord that you could ever need in whatever given situation at a glance, and it's a free download. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look at these. Alright, so the first one we're going to look at is a riff from Who Do You Love? So this is all just based off of an E major chord for the most part. And it's got this kind of a swing thing to it. So here we're on the downbeat of 1, we play just the E and the A string. So if you just have your fingers down for E major chord, so I'm on the 2nd fret of the A string with my 2nd finger, and the 2nd fret of the D string with my 3rd finger, and the 1st fret of the G string with my 1st finger, and then the rest of the strings are just open. Even though we're not playing all of the strings. So we've got 1. So on the downbeat of 1, we hit just the E and the A string, and then on the and of 1, we hit the D string. So it's like 1 and 1 and then on the downbeat of 2, it's the low E string, and on the and of 2, the D string again. Then on the downbeat of 3 we rest, and on the and of 3 we hit just the D and the G string, and then for beat 4 the low end of the chord again. So the big thing is you kind of want to get that rhythm, ba da 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 da. So the notes that you play, any note that you hit is part of the chord, so it's going to be in key. You know, you want to try to hit these as accurately as you can, but it's like really, really difficult to do that consistently, to just hit those strings. So the second measure is still off of with the E. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. Then the third measure is pretty similar to the first measure. So it's just kind of got, you know, the whole thing with it is just that ba pa ta pa ta pa ta da. Now on the 4th measure, this is where we have like the only big change. 1 and then on the downbeat of 3 we need to get an A. So you just keep your fingers for this and just take your pinky and just put it in here, so it's picking up the 2nd fret of the G and the B string, and we hit that on beat 2. Beat 3 is an E, and then 4 and 2 open strings. Alright, so the next one we're going to look at is the riff from Get a Haircut. So this is just like kind of a typical blues shuffle kind of a thing that maybe you've played before. So we're going to start out here. We've got, it's a G5, so I'm on the 1st fret of the low E string with my 1st finger, and then how I like to do it is you got to get the 5th fret of the A string. So I do it between my 1st and 2nd finger, because then you have to alternate between, on the A string, between the 5th fret and the 7th fret, but still keep this G here. So for me, it's harder to do this stretch between my 3rd and 4th finger. It's easier to do it this way. So whichever way is more comfortable for you, one isn't necessarily better than the other. So with this, we're going to start off with the G5, and then when we put this finger down, it's actually E minor over G. So we've got 1 and 2 and So on the end of 2 is a rest, and then on the end of 4 is the D and the G string open. So you got this. So that's our first measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then starting on the second measure, we rest on the downbeat of 1, and then on the and of 1, it's the G5. Downbeat of 2 is the E minor over G. And then we rest on the and of 2, and then the downbeat of 3 is the last 2 beats are just like the last 2 beats of the first measure. So G, G, E minor over G, and then the G over D. So. Alright, then the last one we're going to look at is the riff from Bad to the Bone. Now this is actually supposed to be played on with a slide, but you can play this riff without the slide and it still sounds really good because it's all just based around the D and the G string. So if you're playing that same fret or those 2 strings open together, you get that cool 4th interval, and it sounds the same. It sounds very similar if you're doing it with a slide or if you're doing it with your fingers. So we rest. This is like weird because it's in 12/8. So we're going to rest, and then on the last 6th, 8th notes, the D and the G string open, and then the 5th fret of the D and the G string. So I'm just going to use my first finger, and then back to the open. So then we're going to come down to the 2nd fret, and we're going to do a slide from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret, but we want it to be like the slide from nowhere, so it's like, we don't want that simultaneous slide. And then we follow that. That's the first measure, is just. And then the second measure, downbeat of 1, well, all of beat 1, is just the open D and G strings we've got. Now, we rest after that, 2 beats and then plus an 8th note, and then, so the last part of the second measure is the same as the first one. So that just repeats. So we've got. So there's really not a whole lot to those parts, and if you want to do some of the other kind of like the cool things that just come up to the 12th fret again, we're just playing on the D and the G string. Now, if you were trying to do it with a slide, it'd be more or less kind of the same thing, but that'd be a topic for another video. Alright, so there you have it. 3 fun, not too terribly difficult riffs to play by George Thorogood and the Destroyers. So if you like this lesson, be sure to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this or other guitar-related topics. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we upload throughout the week. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.